Sometimes you're just having one of those days and you need to make yourself a cup of tea, sit down and just read a book and stop thinking about things. So today we're going to do another book review. It's on 10% Happier, How I Tamed the Voice in My Head, Reduced Stress Without Losing My Edge, and Found Self-Help That Actually Works by Dan Harris. I stumbled on this book when I was looking through a thrift shop, and one of my goals is to be a little bit more mindful and more aware, so I thought this would be a great read for February. Nightline anchor Dan Harris embarks on an unexpected, hilarious, and deeply skeptical odyssey through the strange worlds of spirituality and self-help, and discovers a way to get happier that is truly achievable. After having a nationally televised panic attack on Good Morning America, Dave Harris knew he had to make some changes. A lifelong non-believer, he found himself on a bizarre adventure involving a disgraced pastor, a mysterious self-help guru, and a gaggle of brain scientists. Eventually, Harris realizes that the source of his problems was the very thing he always thought was his greatest asset, the incessant, insatiable voice in his head, which had both propelled him through the ranks of a hyper-competitive business and also led him to make the profoundly stupid decision that provoked his on-air freakout. All we have is a voice in our head. It's what has us losing our temper, unnecessarily checking our email compulsively, eating when we're not hungry, and fixating on the past and the future at the expense of the present. Most of us would assume we're stuck with this voice, and there's nothing we can do to rein it in. But Harris stumbled upon an effective way to do just that. It's a far cry from the miracle cures peddled by the self-help swamis he met. Instead, it's something he always assumed to be either impossible or useless: meditation. After learning about research that suggests meditation can do everything from lower your blood pressure to essentially rewire your brain, Harris took a deep dive into the underreported world of CEOs, scientists, and even Marines who are now using it to increase calm, focus, and happiness. Harris summarized mindfulness as an ability to recognize what is happening in your mind right now without getting carried away by it. Mindfulness represented an alternative to living reactively. We can do more than just think. We also have the power simply to be aware of things without judgment, without the ego. There's a difference between the raw sensations we experience and the mental spinning we do in reaction to said stimuli. During a Dharma talk on a 10-day retreat, Harris explores the idea of Buddhism and that life is suffering. Everything in the world is ultimately unsatisfying and unreliable because it won't last. We just live in anticipation of our next enjoyable thing that we'll experience. This term is called hedonic adaptation. When good things happen, we bake them very quickly into our baseline expectations, and yet the primordial void goes unfulfilled. Meditation, once part of the counterculture, had now fully entered the scientific mainstream, subjected to thousands of studies, and producing a long list of health benefits, including salutary effects on the following: major depression, drug addiction, binge eating, smoking cessation, stress among cancer patients, loneliness among senior citizens, ADHD, asthma, and a variety of other symptoms. Additionally, studies also indicated that meditation reduced levels of stress hormones, boosted the immune system, made office workers more focused, and improved scores on the GRE. Another study out of Yale looked at part of the brain known as the default mode network, DMN, which is active when we're lost in thought, ruminating about the past, projecting into the future, obsessing about ourselves. The researchers found meditators were not only deactivating this region while they were practicing, but also when they were not meditating. In other words, meditation created a new default mode. Although the research is in its beginning stages, it gives light on the idea of reaching adulthood and being able to still change our default mode. This is called neuroplasticity. The brain is constantly changing in response to experience. It's possible to sculpt your brain through meditation, just as you build and tone your body through exercise, to grow your gray matter the way doing curls grows your biceps. There was cutting-edge science to back up the Dalai Lama's advice about the self-interested case for not being a dick. Brain scans showed that acts of kindness registered more like eating chocolate than, say, fulfilling an obligation. The same pleasure centers lit up when we received a gift as when we donated to charity. Neuroscientists referred to it as the warm glow effect. Overall, compassionate people tended to be healthier, happier, more popular, and more successful at work. People often misinterpret the Dharma to mean that they have to adopt a sort of meekness. However, striving is fine as long as it's tempered by the realization that in an entropic universe, the final outcome is out of your control. It's non-attachment to the results. Harris believes that meditation is a superpower that makes all other perceptions possible. The practice has countless benefits, from better health to increased focus to a deeper sense of calm. But the biggie is the ability to respond instead of react to your impulses and urges. Harrison says, meditation won't fix everything in your life, but it can make you 10% happier, or maybe much more. My overall thoughts on the book are that I enjoyed it. It was a quick read and pretty light. I did feel like in the beginning it got a little slow when he's talking about his personal story, and the relationship, and all the events that led up to his panic attack on national air. Dan Harris worked in a pretty difficult field as a news anchor. He also became a war correspondent for a handful of years and lived through events like 9/11 and different administrations. In 10% Happier, you see how Dan works backward, talking to a therapist about his past experience as a war correspondent, working abroad in a difficult industry, and also his drug use. I appreciated his candor and also his criticism with self-help and other gurus, and his exploration through meditation. I especially appreciated the chapter that focused on kindness and the self-interest in not being a dick. There's a multitude of different ways that you can practice mindfulness and also meditation. And one of the ways that I'm hoping to incorporate this book into my future through hike is to practice mindful meditation while I'm exercising or hiking. Oftentimes, most people like to listen to music or podcasts, which I definitely like to do, but I think it's important to carve out a bit of space where you're being fully present, you're being outdoors, you're aware of what's happening, and really appreciating it as well, too. Disguised as a memoir and also a self-help book, 10% Happier reminds us that our mindfulness is in control of our happiness. The science is out and we know that meditation is good for us. So now the challenge is to put that to the test and how to be more mindful in our normal lives.